The path of the Sufi does not begin in a temple. It begins in the heart, in longing, in ache, in the moment you realize that what the world offers can never satisfy the hunger within. The Sufis say, there is a candle in your heart, ready to be kindled. This is not a religion. This is not a performance. It is a return to the divine that has always been calling you, not outside but inside. Rumi wrote, "You were born with wings. Why prefer to crawl through life?" In the modern world, we chase goals, identities, approval. But the Sufi abandons the self, not out of weakness, but out of love. To the Sufi, love is not romance. It is the annihilation of the ego in the presence of truth. It is the fire that burns away illusion. The beloved is not a person. It is the essence behind all things. And the lover must dissolve to meet it. This is the way of the heart, not the head, not ideas, not theories, but tears, silence, surrender, a deep trust that life is not chaos, it is a dance. And you, beloved, were born to turn. The Sufi journey begins with loss. Because the ego cannot survive love. And so life, if it wants to awaken you, must take. It removes what you cling to, and in that space, longing enters. Longing is not weakness, it is the doorway to God. Hafiz wrote, "Don't surrender your loneliness so quickly. Let it cut more deep. Let it ferment and season you as few human or divine ingredients can." In this way, pain becomes prayer. The wound becomes the opening. The tears become the offering. The ego says, "Why, my man?" The heart whispers, "You are being called." You don't need to be religious. You need to be open. The Sufi says, God is not found in books. He is found in breath, in presence, in the space between your heartbeat. And that presence grows stronger the moment you stop pretending. The moment you let your masks fall. You were not made to impress. You were made to dissolve, to burn like a candle, to disappear in service. And in that vanishing, find everything. Sufism speaks often of Fana, the annihilation of the self. It does not mean death. It means disappearing from the illusion that you are separate, that you are alone, that you must earn love. You don't. You never had to. Love is not something to be gained. It is what you were made of. The mystic Al-Hallaj whispered, "I am the truth." For this he was executed, but what he meant was simple. When the ego dissolves, only God remains. This is why the Sufi turns, not to perform, but to remember. The whirling dervish is not dancing, he is becoming. He is placing his right hand toward heaven, left toward earth, and spinning so his self disappears, and only love remains. You can do the same. Maybe not with movement, but with stillness, with breath, with service. The Sufi does not seek paradise, he seeks the face of the beloved. And when he realizes the beloved was within him all along, he weeps, not in sorrow, but in balm, in gratitude, in reunion. And in that reunion, all questions disappear. The modern world teaches you to be somebody, to brand yourself, prove yourself, build yourself. But the Sufi teaches you to empty, to be nobody, so you can finally hear, finally love, finally see. Rumi wrote, "Try not to resist the changes that come your way. Instead, let life live through you. You were not made to conquer life. You were made to feel it, to become transparent enough that the light of God shines through you. And that light requires no explanation, no performance. It simply is. You don't need a perfect past to be holy. You don't need answers. You only need sincerity. The Sufi path is walked by those who fall 100 times a day, but keep walking, who break and keep singing, who feel wadan and still bow in awe. Because the heart doesn't need to understand everything to trust. It only needs to stay open. That is enough. So how do you live as a Sufi in the modern world? You live with your heart exposed, with your ego gently set aside, with your hands open, not to receive, but to give. You practice silence, not because you're empty, but because you're full. You love, not to be loved back, but because it is your nature. You serve, not to rise, but to dissolve. Rumi says, be like a tree and let the dead leaves drop. Let them drop. The roles, the expectations, the noise, the fear, the need to be seen, The need to be right, let it all fall. And what remains? Stillness, joy, presence, the beloved. And that is the secret. You don't need to find God. You need to remove what hides him. You don't need more light. You need less dust on the mirror. This is the way of the Sufi, not a system, not a theology, but a longing that never leaves, a silence that keeps whispering, and a love that never dies. Thank you for walking with Iron Mind Journal. Subscribe for more journeys through ancient wisdom, deep surrender, and the eternal voice of the heart.